Wonderful to be with you today. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. And we will attempt to share the screen. Where are we? Here we are. Share. There we go. As I'm sure many of you know, today is the first Sunday of the month in Asia, which means the Mauritian group of participants has a Ganesha Homa. So probably not very many Mauritians are with us today. And that's the reason why. Let's see what we have here in store. Our first topic, drawing close to Ganesha, appropriate for Ganesha Homa Day. Subtitled, How Sincerely Approaching Him as a Real Being Can Deepen Your Relationship with the Lord of Obstacles. Publisher's desk, January 2016, only almost 8 years old there. This publisher's desk was written to share my Guru's simple but effective advice for drawing close to Lord Ganesha, the easiest deity to contact. So Gurudeva has some insights which are shared in this presentation that I've never seen anywhere else. Keep alert for them. Hinduism in Thailand, a predominantly Buddhist nation, has been the subject of several articles in Hinduism Today magazine over the years. To many people's surprise, the country has a number of Hindu temples, including a large and ornate Ganesha shrine right in the middle of Bangkok's financial district. Our journalist asked several Thais why so many in the country worship regularly at Hindu temples. Well, the answer is very interesting. There's Ganesha there, beautiful Jai Ganapati. The worship of Buddha helps in a purely spiritual way, whereas worshiping the Hindu gods helps in our daily life. Very interesting, and it's a real quote that our journalist got when he was doing the research for this article. And Gurudeva stressed this same idea, but specifically for Ganesha. Among all the wonderful Hindu deities, Lord Ganesha is the closest to the material plane of consciousness, most easily contacted and most able to assist us in our day-to-day life and concerns. Worship of Lord Ganesha leads the devotee most naturally to the other great gods. Lord Ganesha is a Mahadeva, a great god created by Lord Shiva to assist souls in their evolution. So that's a very interesting statement. Closest to the material plane of consciousness. So all the deities aren't the same. When it comes to material needs, wishes, Ganesha is able to help in a very practical way. And the second point is it's saying Ganesha is most easily contacted among the deities. So all of those reasons are why we worship Ganesha first. He is the elephant-faced patron of art and science, the Lord of obstacles and guardian of Dharma. The first son of Shiva, his will prevails as the force of righteousness, the embodiment of Shiva's karmic law in all three worlds. So that's nice. Lord of obstacles and guardian of dharmas. So we always need to remember that Vigneshwara, Vigna plus Ishvara, Vigna's obstacle, Lord of obstacles. So sometimes that defaults to the remover of obstacles, but that's not the name. The name is the Lord of obstacles, meaning he can place obstacles as well as remove them. So just because something doesn't happen doesn't mean he wasn't participating. Maybe he placed an obstacle so you wouldn't go the wrong direction. I like to liken him to a mother with a young child. Mother is the Lord of obstacles, keeping the child from falling down the stairs by putting an obstacle on the stairs, keeping the child away from the knife drawer, etc. He has to be master of being the Lord of obstacles till the child gets to a certain age, understands the dangers of certain objects. So that's very important. Lord of obstacles, not remover of obstacles. Many of the great saints and sages of Hinduism have had visions of Lord Ganesha, whom we will also refer to as Ganapati and Vinayaka, and shared them with their devotees, thus strengthening the devotees' faith and understanding of the gods of Hinduism. So when I present this idea of visions of Lord Ganesha or visions of any of our deities, I do it in 3 ways: ancient, modern for Gurudeva, and modern for regular devotees. So we're trying to show it happened a long time ago and it's still happening today, even just for the regular devotees of Hinduism. Don't have to be a great saint to have a vision. And the ancient times, Avayar, Tamil mystic who had visions of Ganesha, shared her experiences in devotional poetry. In Vinayaka Ahaval, she wrote, "Desiring to make me yours this instant, you like a mother have appeared before me and cut the delusion of unending birth." Very nice. Modern times, Gurudeva shared some of his mystical perspectives and experiences of Ganapati in his book, Loving Ganesha. And for those who don't know, this is a picture of Gurudeva's vision of Ganesha in Mauritius. Even before we acquired the property there, Gurudeva had a vision of Lord Ganesha. Gurudeva was in the river and Ganesha appeared and there were sharks in the water, and Ganesha gave him the advice, put oil on the nose of the shark. Very practical. So there he is, putting oil on the nose of the shark. Gurudeva says there are a great many liberal Hindus and or Western influenced Hindus who don't think of Ganesha as a real being. To them he is a symbol, a superstition, a way of explaining philosophy to children and the uneducated. But this has not been my experience of our loving Lord. So that's true of many people. They think of the deities as symbols. To Gurudeva, they're real beings that he could see and talk to. I have seen him with my own eye, singular. He has come to me in vision several times and convinced my lower mind of his reality. So you see him with your third eye. It's only one of those. So that's why it's singular. I've seen him with my own eye. Since 1969, we have arranged group pilgrimages to India where traveling seekers have had life-changing visions of Lord Ganesha and other deities. Such visions, born of the intensity of pilgrimage and inner striving, would often come in the form of the stone or bronze murti moving and smiling at them, or becoming an animated human-like figure. With eyes closed, some devotees inwardly saw the deity's face, as real as any living being. There we all are when we were younger. Though not many have had such powerful visions, in the year 1995, hundreds of thousands of Hindus experienced firsthand the widely publicized milk miracle. Temples around the world, they watched as devotees offered milk to murtis of Lord Ganesha, who actually drank the milk. The remarkable happening was recorded by video cameras and well documented in world media. This increased many people's faith in the reality of Lord Ganesha. In his inspired talks to large crowds in South India's ancient temples, Gurudeva explained that the stone or metal deity images are not mere symbols of the gods. They are the form through which their love, power, and blessings flood forth into this world. Knowing that the gods are real beings and that the purpose of going to the temple is to experience their blessings, transforms the temple from a cultural hall to a truly sacred place for the devotee. Some readers may be wondering, meaning Hinduism today readers, what I mean by saying that Lord Ganesha and the other gods are real beings. If they are real, where do they live? To answer that question, let's provide some background. Hindu scripture speaks of three worlds of existence: the physical plane, the subtle or astral plane, and the causal plane. How would you describe the physical plane in terms of delineating it from the astral or causal plane? The physical plane is the world we perceive with our five senses, the realm of seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. Of the three worlds, this is the most limited, the least permanent, and the most subject to change. It's a beautiful picture of the earth with all those colors. And next, how would you describe the astral plane, differentiating it from the other two? In the physical plane exists the subtle or astral plane, the mental emotional sphere. We function in this realm through thought and feeling and reside there fully during sleep and after death. There, in our astral body, we meet other souls who are sleeping, who have died, and do not have a physical body. We function constantly in this in-between world by our every thought and emotion. So let's take a look at this. It's inside, physical. So we reside there fully during sleep and after death. So that's a very good point, that we're actually somewhat familiar with it because of our daily sleep cycle where we experience things. You don't experience the astral plane if you have dreamless sleep, but when you're asleep, you have different kinds of dreams. Some of them are just your subconscious being creative, the original AI. Language AI is your subconscious mind when you're dreaming, quite creative. And some you're actually meeting other people on the astral plane. There in our astral body, we meet other souls who are sleeping or who have died. So we're more familiar with it than we may think. How would you describe the causal plane, differentiating it from the other two? Deep within the astral plane exists the causal plane, the world of light and blessedness, the highest of heavenly regions extolled in the scriptures of all faiths. This is the superconscious world where the gods and highly evolved souls abide. It is this world that we seek to access through deep meditation and through temple worship, which opens a channel for the gods' blessings. This most refined realm is not distant. It exists within us as the abode of our divine self, our pure, immortal soul being. So highly evolved souls abide. In other words, you have to be liberated to be there. You can't be there if you're not liberated from rebirth. So it's highly evolved or souls who are liberated, achieved moksha from any future births on earth. In fact, they couldn't get born on earth. Okay, let's see what this one says. Doesn't seem to be any text. Okay, that slide has a problem. There's no text for me to read. Hope the text didn't go away. Nice pictures. I think that's the last one there. There is a Tamil saying, Ganesha is my support, Ganapati Tutnai. It conveys the idea that Lord Ganesha looks after us and influences everything in our life for the better. You can develop a close relationship with Lord Ganesha in which he feels like a good friend if you take the time to get to know him through bhakti yoga, practice of devotional disciplines, worship, prayer, chanting, singing with the aim of awakening love in the heart and opening yourself to the deity's grace. So that's very important. If you're closed to the deity's grace, you won't get to know him. You have to really want to know him, which is what opening yourself means. The 2,200-year-old South Indian scripture Tirumandaram declares, Aindu Karatanai. 5-armed is he, elephant face with tusks protruding, crescent-shaped, son of Shiva, wisdom's flower, and heart enshrined, his feet I praise. We all know that one in Tamil. So this is an interesting one. See if anyone remembers. Gurudeva gave a specific practice for contacting Lord Ganesha. What is that specific practice only for Lord Ganesha, not a general practice for temple worship for all deities? It's in Loving Ganesha, in case you want to look it up. Wherever his devotees are, in the home, the factories, the offices, the hospitals, the marketplace, orbiting in space, or tilling the soil on the farm, Lord Ganesha is ever there. Intimate access is acquired by simply loving Ganesha and holding his robust image in your mind. Okay, got to visualize him. Carefully visualize the large head and ears, his long trunk, massive body, big belly, and the objects he holds in his many hands. So we're visualizing his whole body. Look into Ganesha's eyes. Train yourself to see him within your own mind with your eyes closed. This is the key. Hold his form steady in your mind through the power of visualization. So you're creating an image. You're not actually seeing Ganesha in the inner world. You're creating an image. Like you're drawing an image or painting an image with your mind. Now you can talk to him. Pronounce the words mentally into his ear. He is listening, though he will never speak back, but take into his vast mind your prayer and slowly work it out. You must simply speak all of your questions and your problems into his right ear, not the left one. When you are finished, open your eyes, go on with your day, and go on with your life. Wherever you are, remembering this simple way of making contact with Lord Ganesha, and as a good seeker, exercise this psychic power, this siddhi. That's one of our garden Ganeshas there. Gave him three flowers this morning on the way to Yerevan. Starting today and the days to come, you will notice how he answers questions and solves problems through you through the course of your daily life. What do you notice? You will notice how he influences events and decisions slowly and subtly in unseen ways. He's not fast. Situations will change for you. Unexpected doors will open and accustomed ones will close as you are propelled through his grace toward your inevitable glorious future. Isn't that beautiful? Read and reread the above formula for immediate access to Lord Ganesha until it is firmly implanted in your subconscious memory patterns. And then begin to make contact with him often through each day, whenever you are and whatever you are doing. Contact with him often through each day, wherever you are and whatever you are doing. Oh, that's really a powerful practice that Gurudeva is giving us for Lord Ganesha. Second topic, let's see what we have. No new questions have been sent into satsang at hindu.org. New questions are welcome. So I have created my own question that relates to the pub desk, which you just saw. The three worlds can also be divided into lokas, which just means planes of existence. How many lokas are in the three worlds? So this is the way I imagine it, is like cutting a cake or cutting a pie. How many pieces are in a pie or a cake? Well, it depends how you divide it, right? You can have 3, or you can have 6, you can have 9. It's easier to have even numbers than odd, but you can create odd numbers if you're careful and divide it into 3 and divide that and so on. So how many lokas are there? So the three worlds, but how many lokas or divisions are there in the loka system? And the correct answer is 14 lokas. And they're subdivided. 7 are in the second world's netherworld or naraka. These are the lower ones, and they relate to the 7 chakras below the Muladhara. And you could call them the Hindu concept of hell. The difference between the Hindu concept of hell is it's not eternal. Just there for appropriate amount of time, and then you get reborn. You get to try again, move up in consciousness. And there are 7 that are higher ones. That's the ones we want to end up in through good conduct. And maybe you know the chant. I'm not sure if it's in our Atmarta Pujas. There is a puja chant that has the 7 higher lokas. That's how I remember them. Om Bhuhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapyam. Sorry. Om Bhuhu, Om Bhuvaha, Om Suvaha, Om Maha, Om Janaha, Om Tapaha, Om Satyam, Om Tat Savitro Varenyam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yona Prachodayat, Om Apo Jyoti Resomritam, Brahma Bhurabhuva Swarom. So that first part there is the 7 higher chakras: Bhu, Bhuva, Suva, Maha, Jana, Tapa, and Satyam. So the first world is easy. It only has 1 loka. And we know what that one is. Bhuloka, which is rendered in English as the earth plane. The second world has 4 lokas. First is the Preta Loka, the world of the departed, of earthbound souls. It is the astral duplicate of the Bhuloka. So individuals who don't have a clear concept of the inner worlds and how deep you could go into the inner worlds at the time of your transition can end up in the Preta Loka. It's the loka you see in television shows where souls are earthbound till something happens and then they get released, Preta Loka. Second is the Bhuvar Loka, the plane of atmosphere. It is also known as the Pitari Loka, world of ancestors. So lots of our deceased ancestors remain for a while in the Bhuvar Loka. Third is the Swarloka, the celestial plane, getting deeper. Fourth is the Maharloka, the plane of greatness, also called Devaloka, angelic world. So when we use the word Devaloka correctly, it doesn't refer to the entire second world. This refers to the top loka within the second world. Let's see what else we can say. Basic idea is most people don't stay in these lokas very long. Why? Because of desire. Desire to be back with their earth family, desire to become a billionaire, desire to create the new AI program that changes the world. Desires to do something on the earth, bring people back. Stronger the desire, sooner they could come back. Third world has three lokas. First is the jhana loka, creative plane. Second is the tapo loka, plane of austerity. And the third is the satya loka, plane of reality, also called Brahma loka. So that's very interesting, how three worlds becomes 14 lokas. And in the future, we're going to look at how three worlds becomes the kalas. But I haven't prepared that one yet. This is all in the cosmology chart in the back of the trilogy books. They're all lined up. So you can see the three worlds and how the 14 lokas fit into the three worlds and how the kalas fit into the three worlds. It's all lined up quite nicely once you figure out how to read it. And we still have one more. Yes, we have a third topic. Thought this would be interesting since we finished our character building, and I don't have any new character building material ready at the moment, though there's some material that I may be able to use with a little effort. So we're filling in with Yogaswami's Words of Our Master. For those who don't know, it's a small book filled with quotes. So these quotes, the book is published in English, but most of the quotes were given in Tamil, so you don't know the original Tamil words used. You have to guess if it's important to the meaning. And it's advice. So some of you have heard me say this before. He's speaking to a specific individual, somebody else is noting down what he said. So each individual doesn't need the same advice. Yogaswami used to say, it's like a prescription. Each patient doesn't need the same medicine from the doctor. Some need to gain weight, some need to lose weight. So if the doctor says lose weight to one and gain weight to the other, it doesn't confuse you theologically. So he could say, go to the temple to one person, and he could say, don't go to the temple to another. So we have to realize, speaking to a specific individual at a specific point in that individual's life. So all the quotes don't require that kind of filter, but some of them do. Ones today don't require that. I climbed Mount Everest in 3 days. There is nothing. No sun, no moon. Then you come down, and there is Dharma, Adharma, and all things. Interesting quote. In the morning, the monks have a puja, short Shiva puja from 5:30 to 6, and then they gather, that's in Kaudava Temple, then they gather in the adjacent Guru Peetham for some chanting and affirmation and meditation. So after all that's done, before I leave, I open Words of Our Master. We have a shrine there in the corner for Yogaswami, so I go over, see what Yogaswami has to tell me today, and that's what he told me a few days ago. I climbed Mount Everest in 3 days. So I thought I'd share it with you, and the question is, what does Mount Everest refer to, and what does nothing refer to? Oh no, this is a little more challenging than Lord Ganesha. What does nothing refer to? Mount Everest does not refer to the physical mountain, it refers to the highest chakra's atom beyond the top of the head. So Mount Everest is up here. And nothingness refers to Parashiva, the aspect of Shiva that's the transcendent absolute, the source of everything else. There's a beautiful statement in the Self-God, nothingness. If you visualize above you nothing, below you nothing, to the right of you nothing, to the left of you nothing, in front of you nothing, and back of you nothing, and dissolve yourself into that nothingness, that would be the best way you could explain the realization of the self. And yet that nothingness would not be the absence of something, like the nothingness inside an empty box, which would be like a void. That nothingness is the fullness of everything. The power, the sustaining power of the existence of what appears to be everything. So that's a nice phrase, the sustaining power. It's a nothingness, but somehow it's the power from which everything else is allowed to exist. And another quote from Yogaswami that relates. At the top there is nothing, so you have to come down a little, then you can enjoy. We have a quote from Gurudeva on the same idea. Therefore, repeated experiences of the ego-destructive Parashiva from all states of consciousness, intellectual, instinctive, even in dreams, permeates the transformation through atoms and molecules, even in the physical body. It is then that the bliss can be enjoyed of Satchit Ananda. Simultaneously, I would say Satchit Ananda and the rough, unrelenting, timeless, formless, spaceless Parashiva merge in a not merging way, such as light and darkness in the same room. This is different from the concept of Sayuja Samadhi, which is maintaining the perpetual bliss within the fourth and fifth chakra and stimulating the sixth and seventh. So the point is, the highest states aren't blissful. You have to come down to enjoy bliss, and then you have to come down even further to get into the realm of Dharma. Very interesting ideas. Thank you very much. Om. Om. Om.